Most people spend their lives in circles, circling back to the same people, the same places, the same patterns that broke them. They tell themselves it's about closure, second chances, or unfinished business. But deep down, it's fear. Fear of moving forward, fear of finality, fear of leaving something behind. The Sigma male isn't built that way. For him, going back is death. Once he sees the truth of a person or place, he doesn't rewind. He doesn't hit repeat. He doesn't chase old ghosts hoping they'll suddenly turn into something new. He understands that life moves one way forward. That's why the Sigma unnerves people. They expect everyone to return eventually to the circle, to the comfort, to the old scripts, but he doesn't. And that rejection of nostalgia, of repetition, of weakness disguised as loyalty, makes him dangerous. The crowd calls it cold. The Sigma calls it clarity. Let's break down 10 unique savage truths about why Sigmas never go back, not to people, not to places, not to chains they already burned. 1. Because he doesn't drink from the same poison twice. Once the mask falls, there's no mystery left. The Sigma doesn't need to test the fire again to remember it burns. He doesn't crave the thrill of what if. He knows that once a person shows betrayal, manipulation, or weakness, it wasn't a mistake. It was a revelation. Going back isn't forgiveness. It's self-deception. Most people rewrite history so they can tolerate it. They tell themselves, it'll be different this time. The Sigma doesn't play that game. He believes patterns, not promises. The moment someone reveals who they truly are, he memorizes it. Not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. And once you've shown him your poison, he won't sip from the cup again. 2. Because comfort zones are just beautiful cages. Nostalgia is the velvet rope around your neck. The world loves comfort. It calls it home, love, safety. But for the Sigma, comfort without growth is prison. Returning to the same places, the town that offered nothing, the circle that demanded conformity, the relationship that drained him is nothing but chaining himself to a padded cell. While others long for the good old days, the Sigma knows there's no such thing. He doesn't confuse memories with possibilities. He refuses to stay where he already outgrew. And when the world begs him to return, he doesn't walk back, he burns the bridge to make sure he never can. 3. Because closure is a trap. Needing an ending is how you get trapped in the middle. People spend years revisiting wounds, demanding closure from people who cut them. They think if they just talk it out, revisit the past, or get the last word, they'll heal. The Sigma laughs at that illusion. He doesn't need apologies. He doesn't need explanations. He doesn't need someone else to hand him peace like a certificate. He understands that closure isn't given, it's chosen. And that choice happens the second he walks away. So he never looks back, because he already closed the door the moment he walked through it. 4. Because going back is just rehearsing old pain. Every repeat performance hurts worse than the first. The Sigma sees repetition for what it really is, slow suicide disguised as persistence. Most people call it loyalty or determination, but he knows it's just self-inflicted suffering. If something collapsed once, it wasn't a fluke, it was a sign. And every time you go back, you don't just face the same collapse, you lose another piece of yourself in the rubble. That's why he refuses to keep auditioning for the same broken play. He won't crawl back into toxic friendships, draining jobs, or empty relationships, convincing himself the script will somehow be rewritten. He knows the actors won't change, the stage won't change, and the ending will always be the same tragedy. Only a fool keeps rehearsing pain expecting applause. The Sigma tears up the script, walks out of the theater, and never returns. 5. Because loyalty to the past is betrayal to the future. What you cling to decides what you kill. Most people are loyal to the past. They defend it, protect it, even when it suffocates them. The Sigma is loyal only to the future. He knows that holding on to old people, places, and habits means betraying what could be. For him, every step back is a step stolen from what's ahead, and that betrayal is unforgivable. He won't sacrifice potential for nostalgia. He won't trade tomorrow for yesterday. That's why his bridges aren't just burned, they're erased from the map. 6. Because he doesn't worship familiarity. Just because you know it doesn't mean it's worth knowing. Familiarity is the crowd's drug. They'd rather stay in known misery than risk unknown freedom. But the Sigma knows familiarity is a trap disguised as safety. He doesn't mistake what I know for what I need. He refuses to bow to the altar of routine. When others cling to what they recognize, he steps into the unknown because he knows that's where growth lives. And once he escapes a place of decay, he doesn't return to kneel at its ruins. 7. Because he won't apologize for outgrowing people. Evolution feels like betrayal to the ones who stayed behind. When the Sigma moves forward, the people he leaves behind call it betrayal. They expect him to return, to slow down, to shrink himself so they won't feel abandoned. But he won't. He knows that outgrowing someone isn't cruelty, it's life, and he refuses to apologize for it. Going back to soothe their ego would be self-sabotage. So instead of shrinking, he cuts loose. And when they wait for him to return, they wait forever. 8. Because he builds new roads instead of retreading old ones. The path forward is harder, but it's his. The Sigma isn't interested in reusing old maps because he knows they only lead back to dead ends. The road behind is smooth and familiar, but it's also lifeless, a treadmill disguised as a path. The crowd loves that road because it's safe, predictable, and already paved by others. But to the Sigma, that's exactly why it's dangerous. It kills ambition in exchange for comfort. He chooses the harder path, the one nobody has dared to carve yet, the one full of risk, resistance, and raw terrain. Every step forward is jagged, but it's his. And once he starts cutting that road, he never looks back. What's left behind isn't just dust, it's decay. It's chains, it's ghosts. They fade into nothing while he keeps moving. To him, turning back is proof you never really left, a confession that you preferred safety over growth. That's why he burns the map after moving on, so retreat isn't even an option. 9. Because he refuses to let history chain him. The past is heavy. He doesn't carry corpses. Most people drag their history like a coffin on their backs, chained to it, bleeding for mistakes they should have buried years ago. They recycle the same heartbreaks, replay betrayals like broken records, and keep circling the same wounds, hoping this time it won't cut as deep. But the Sigma refuses to live that way. He doesn't romanticize pain or dress it up as loyalty. He knows history is meant to be studied, dissected, and learned from, not relived until it destroys you. For him, every step backward is shackling himself to corpses that can't breathe life back into him. He won't carry dead weight. He won't crawl into the same grave twice. He remembers, he learns, he sharpens, but he never re-enters. To the Sigma, the past is a textbook, not a home. And only a fool mistakes a graveyard for shelter. 10. Because forward is the only language he speaks. A Sigma's compass has no reverse. For the Sigma, life is a one-way arrow. He doesn't romanticize what's behind. He doesn't fantasize about going back. He doesn't even keep doors half open. To him, every step backward is betrayal. Every return is regression. Every one more try is suicide to progress. His only direction is forward, whether alone, misunderstood, or hated for it. And that's why people hate him. He never circles back to chains they still worship. On a final note, the Sigma doesn't revisit graves. He plants new forests. The Sigma male doesn't go back because he refuses to live in rewind. He knows that the past doesn't need him, and the future demands him. While others recycle their lives chasing closure, clinging to ruins, he walks forward no matter how lonely, no matter how uncertain. And that forward momentum is why he thrives. It's why the crowd calls him cold, ruthless, unforgiving. But it's not cruelty, it's clarity. He doesn't go back, not to people who betrayed him, not to places that suffocated him, not to chains he already broke, because he knows the past is a coffin, and he refuses to climb back inside.